Stellaris Necroid portraits and Stellaris Necroid characters are shown to us in Dev Diary 188, and the art process as well. Eerie, the art director, or as his real name is Frederick Toll, is writing about it. First, about finding the ideas. I mean, we'll look at everything, and we'll definitely look into the big versions of them. First speaks about the idea process, looking at a lot of things where they gain their inspiration from. For example, vampires, Mexican makeup from Dia de Muertos, Egyptian mummies, all kinds of things like that they were looking at for the Necroids DLC and the portraits. Then they think about backstories for their sketches or for like an inspiration. For example, a species which inhabits a completely sealed suit which they can never leave. We can see through the transparent helmet that whatever they once were, they are a hollow, scared version of that. Or an alien that has kept itself alive through genetic manipulations, but the cells no longer die, they just keep dividing. The body has grown uncontrolled and looks very weird and mutated. So once they settle on 15 ideas, they start sketching for the ideas. 15 ideas, and we get 15 portraits, plus one for the robots. There's always 3 to 4 different versions of each character developed, as you can see here. There's a couple of sketches. For example, that would be probably the one that inhabits a suit. Let's look at these different sketches, because they're quite different. You can see a whole being with a lot of mechanical attachments to it. Then you can have someone with even a holo screen on it. Then you have someone totally mutated like a tentacle monster. And then you have someone who's slightly humanoid still and sitting in like an egg-like shape of glass, only connected to the outer world via that strange mind eye over there. Then you have other sketches for different aliens. These ones are like, they're wearing masks because they're so dreadful to look at. And you can see you have also different versions of that, from rather Egyptians with that thing on the chin to classic aliens, that would be the one on the right, and others that look like nightmare fuel from classic Lovecraft. Then we have full versions of this, like in their full attire. And different heads, different attires, different variations. Some look like Cardassians, some look really alien-like. All of them look pretty dark and somehow corrupted. Now, after the sketching phases, they use the same process for developing aliens as they do for ship designs, starting out with rough sketches to see a path they want to go on. But you can notice that these sketches are a little bit very rough, and these are a little bit more detailed. They're looking at these sketches again, rough sketches they're making, and they're not at all rough for me. They're very fine art. Look at them. That looks like something growing out of a coral reef or something like that. That looks a sad forest creature. I don't know. That looks kind of a crossover between some kind of insect and an aquatic creature. And this is totally out of strange organs put together, Frankenstein monsterish. And then you decide for one idea. That's the example for the genetic manipulation, where you have all the extra stuff growing. You decide for one idea of, and you go and make sketches of the next one. Like, you have different kinds of hands, if you can call them hands, different numbers of arms, all kinds of different things. And here the mutated part is in the upper part of the face. That adds the corruption to it. And once you decided for one of them, as you can see, this was leaving open the question which kind of hand it has. And it's looking very dark and beautiful. And of course it still needs covering, but I could live with something like that. It's a beautiful black and white thing to go on. We have color variants. So you're experimenting with colors once you've decided for one of them. So it's a multiple selection process, and I like it very, very much. So you can see which one looks corrupted, and maybe these shades also get integrated into the game for adding some attire, like the attire menus here. Then it looks like that all the characters are two-dimensional, but they are actually constructed three-dimensional in a 3D software, so they can put all the body parts they have around to experiment with the results. As you can see, that's the separate textures they've made for that specific alien. And then you put it together in the 3D perspective view. And it looks like this. It looks like a weird crossover, like a cardboard version. It looks kind of three-dimensional, but not real. It looks like a cardboard you you put in there. And of course it looks two-dimensional in the game, and there it looks absolutely fine. But the advantage is that you can pull and push and bring all the body parts around as you wish here. And I think that's absolutely fascinating process. And you can see that there's a lot of work included and a lot of selection included for the artists. And that's the final result here. Once the color test and layer split is done, we can finally move on to the final render. This is where most of the work comes in, making it feel more three-dimensional, making sure the materials look realistic, and yeah, finishing something up so that it is really good. Polishing it is always the most time-consuming part, and that's an impressive result. I think it's something deep, and it looks insect-like. It has some mandibles, it has some extras here on the sides, and it looks a little bit corrupted, mushrooms growing everywhere. It looks like a messenger from a dark time that could knock on your door and take your hand and go with you to the stars, never to return. Well, we will return next week to further discuss the patch notes. So have a great time until next time, and happy gaming. This is Immanuel signing out. See you soon and happy gaming.